Hello everybody, welcome to the second round of the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship here in 2026. I'm Chaz Draycott.
I'm Louise Schofield. It's such a glorious day here in Slovakia.
It's gorgeous.
It's compared to yesterday, it was a little bit testy, there was a little bit of rain and we weren't sure how this weekend was going to go, but by the looks of this, we're in for a scorcher, I think, aren't we?
Absolutely. The top of my head is burning already, our cameraman's head is burning as well.
Get that sun cream on, love, come on.
It's been absolutely brilliant though. We've had a really good vibe actually here at Slovakia Ring to start things off. It's one of the flattest places in the world I've ever been to. It's my first visit and your first visit here, of course.
Absolutely, and as it's the longest in the circuit as well, isn't it? So it's going to be a big long one today in the races and the qualifying.
Yeah.
But it's great because, I mean, I got my first ride in a truck yesterday, which was so much fun.
Absolutely.
I had the absolute best time and I've never ever experienced anything quite like that before. Bradley Smith took myself and you out as well, didn't he?
Yeah, indeed. Bradley and the team were very grateful. We were walking down the pit lane. We luckily got here in time for the media rides.
We did.
Walked down the pit lane. We actually had a chat with John Newell in Bologna Airport last week about potentially going out with him, but we bumped into Bradley Smith's dad first, so thank you to Tony and the team. But yeah, what an experience, hey? It's like nothing else, is it?
Absolutely nothing else, and it's like fantastic that these opportunities do come about because, you know, I mean, I can't even describe to you the experience. You kind of have to, it's one of those where you have to be in the truck.
Yeah.
You have to be going around at those very high speeds and you kind of realise, wow, okay. Took a few videos as well, didn't realise how fast you're going. Then you look back at the videos, you hear the screeching going around those corners. You're like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's quite a crazy circuit because a lot of the time, especially having commentated on this circuit for the last 5 years or so, it always looks like a lot of the corners are very slow, long radius corners. And because, we were talking about how big the circuit is geographically.
Yes, absolutely.
They look like they're miles away when they're on the other side of the track. But you actually realise it's such a high speed circuit. They are nearing that 100-mile-an-hour limit for most of the lap, aren't they?
Absolutely, yeah. So it's going to be it's going to be a great one to watch, I think, as well. I think everyone's going to have an absolute treat watching from up there as well. The view's spectacular as well. You get a great view of the circuit, don't you? We had a look at it earlier on today, and it's a fantastic view, and I think it's going to be wonderful to watch. And you are going to have to get your little binoculars out to see the other side of the circuit, but it's amazing.
It is miles away. We actually had a walk up into one of the grandstands earlier today because this weekend is slightly more different to what we had back at Misano because we're sharing the track with other championships, aren't we, this weekend?
We are indeed, yes. So I'm getting kind of a little, you're telling me all about it actually, Chaz. Chaz has given me a lot of knowledge in all different types of motorsports here, which has been really nice. But yeah, it's great to see the vibe and the community behind motorsport in general, I think is really nice.
I'm not sure if we've actually got a shot from Leon, who's carrying our R02 camera today. But hello,
if you have another camera that's coming through. That's good. Do you know what? It's the beauty of live telly, I suppose, isn't it? It's just what it is, you know. So that is the main thing about today. Now, it's my first time here at Misano, and I know the tyre lottery is a huge part of what goes on here. So, Franz, can you tell us a little bit about why it happens?
Yeah, well, generally, I start from scratch. Obviously, we have trucks producing about 1,200 horsepower, 6,000 Newton meters of torque, so traction is very crucial, where the tire obviously is a big factor on that. As you can see, all the tires here, supplied by our tire manufacturer Goodyear. These tires have to be distributed to our competitors by a lottery so that no one can say, oh, this guy from Goodyear gave me a good set of tires and this guy got a bad set of tires, or vice versa, just to have a level playing field that nobody can in any way ensure that he gets a certain tire. We do a tire lottery so that they just get random tires picked.
How do you ensure that you know which one's gone where? Is there some technology involved where you can tell which tire's on where?
Yeah, there's a very big technology involved. First of all, we do a lottery. Now, as you can imagine, a lottery, we just have a system where the drivers or the driver representative picks a number, and that's for that stack of tires. So it's really something you can't control. And after that, then obviously this set of tires, these 6 tires, are allocated to that driver, where then we have equipment. There's an RFID chip in the tire, so the tire actually has an electronic tag, a bit like in the warehouse, you know, where we then control a as well, when the truck is on the grid, we have equipment from our side, from the technical department, where we then check that these are the tires which were allocated to him as well. After the first day of racing, race 1, race 2, the tires have to come back here. They are under my jurisdiction as the technical delegate, so they're in Parc Fermé as well, to make sure that nobody uses any kind of a chemical compound to make the tires softer to have an advantage on the next day. So that's a very good thing for us.
Absolutely, and you'd know if somebody switched the tyres on the down low air, you'd be on it.
Yeah, correct. So and it happens sometimes, very rarely, but it is most times a mistake with the teams. So we can then do it rightly, but. Normally we have no problems because everybody knows the system is fail-proof. It works perfectly. Everybody agrees with it.
That sounds very fair. Franz, thank you so much for clearing me up on that. Thank you very much.
All about the tyre lottery. As someone that's brand new to all of this, it was really interesting to see how that system actually works within the Goodyear tyres and how it kind of like gets processed across, which is lovely. Now it's going to be a great time here at Slovakia. It's getting very, very warm, and we're getting very, very excited for the qualifying to start as well. I'm sure everyone's literally, we can see the fans in the stand up there getting ready to go, getting ready to watch the action very, very shortly. I'm going to go over to Chaz now, who is going to start you off and get you warmed up for it.
Thank you very much, Louise. Thank you very much indeed. Looking forward to this first session of the weekend here in the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship here at the Slovakia Ring, the longest circuit on the calendar. So sorry about that, everybody. Just a slight technical here. Welcome to the first qualifying session of the weekend here at the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship. And, well, it's going to be a busy one this weekend. Really, really excited to see how this one plays out. We have lots of trucks ready to go, 15 of them, in fact, for this weekend. And we have Louis Requenco as one of the key drivers to keep an eye on here with his new Mercedes that he brings to the paddock this weekend. The Slovakia Ring circuit itself, very, very long, lots of corners to think about, and these wonderful drone shots being captured here at the moment, showing you just how big this place is. It is a massive, massive circuit, very geographically large. When you stand in the paddock and you watch the trucks on the far end of the circuit, it is absolutely miles away when they head over to the third and fourth corners of the track. It's going to be mighty, mighty noisy in the paddock this weekend, I can tell you that, with all of the other different vehicles and championships that we're sharing with. Really looking forward to seeing how everybody tries to streamline the weekend as best they can. We have trucks heading out on track just now, though. Jochen Hahn there in the Iveco currently finds himself second in the championship. I'm just trying to get access to my points spreadsheet because, as I'm sure you all know by now, I am quite the nerd. So I like to keep up with the points, make sure that everything is absolutely spot on, and if you can keep up with things behind the scenes, it's very easy. But you can see the heat here at Slovakia. It's very, very hot here today. We all arrived at the circuit yesterday roughly around the same time, and it was very cloudy, very windy, such a flat part of the world that it's actually very, very difficult to sort of hide away from any of the wind. You can easily end up with a lot of wind burn here, as we call it. But out in the sun today, it's difficult to hide from the sunburn that you may end up with. But we have had a lovely start to the weekend so far. Lots of positive spirits, lots of great people out and about, and now we have the wonderful weather to match it as well. Lovely to see these drone shots for the weekend. We've seen it buzzing around quite a lot over the course of the last day or so. It's great to have these slow and wide shots of the pit lane. You can see there Norbert Kish, Sasha Lenz making their way down. There's Bradley Smith. I was delighted to be in that truck yesterday. Louise also had a ride out with Bradley around the track. We had a couple of laps each, and it was an absolute joy. So huge thank you to Tony and Bradley's team for the opportunity. As we were trying to explain before the slight technical, we were walking down the pit lane and then bumped into Tony Smith, and he said, right, come on, get in. And that was it. In we went. And we were able to have some laps in there. Funnily enough, though, the second time I've ever been out on track in that truck, I went out with Antonio Albacete a couple of years ago, and I was able to be a passenger with him at the Nürburgring. And as I spoke to Tim yesterday, he reminded me that I was actually back out in the same truck. So, very interesting experience, to say the least. Trucks on track then for the first qualifying session of the season. And we have Norbert Kisch leading out Jochen Hahn, Sascha Lenz, Antonio Albacete, Steffi Halm and Jose Eduardo Rodriguez. 15 trucks to be with us in this session. And then you can see Luke Garrett behind John Newell. You can see there Mark Taylor, Stefan Faast, Bradley Smith. Chrome Championship is all over the place at the moment, actually. It's up in the air, to say the least, because there was such a lot of mixed results back at Misano just a week ago. There is the new Mercedes on track. Great to see this thing. So it's a very strange one to look at in a way, because it's got the new Mercedes Actros front end on it. Not the prettiest truck in the world that we see on the public roads, but the race-going truck is absolutely stunning. But you can see there's no wing mirrors sticking out on the side of the truck. It looks very streamlined and very flat because they have these small cameras in the top. You can just see the little black cameras on the top of the cab that act as the rear view mirrors and as the wing mirrors, so to speak. More drone shots there as the trucks are on their warm-up lap around the circuit. So they will head out, obviously go through the first lap or so. And this is where they get the truck up to temperature, get everything prepared, get ready to go. And now we will have them out in championship order. Some of them may change around a little bit before they head on to their first flying lap, but you can see just how warm and how dry it is here at Slovakia Ring right now. Luckily, we have lots of very cooled water on standby everywhere we go. And a big shout out to all the teams and everybody for being so hospitable throughout the weekend. Everywhere we go and walk through the paddock, everybody offers you a drink, whatever you want. It's a lovely, lovely one-truck family to be a part of. There is Steffi Halm. Steffi enjoyed quite the weekend back at Misano. Starting very strongly in her championship, but of course with all of the penalties and things that came through from the first race of the year, I think there was something like 57 penalty markers were clipped. It looks like we've got not all of the trucks out on track at the moment. I'm just having a look through the timing screen at the moment, and I have over to my left-hand side. We've got Norbert Kisch, Jochen Hahn, Sascha Lenz, Antonio Albacete, Steffi Halm, Jose Eduardo Rodriguez. That's 6. Then we have John Newell, Luke Garrett, Mark Taylor, Stefan Faast, Bradley Smith, Clemens Hecker, and Louis Requenco. So far on track we have 13 trucks by the look of it. Now 12 of them will head through into Q2. And then obviously from Q2 they will then be whittled down to 6. It seems like a bit of a smaller grid for this round of the championship. But of course we do not have Lucas Hahn here for this one. We don't have Jonathan Andre. We also do not have Stefan Kirsch. So we've lost 3 of them. But we will obviously gain 1 back with having Louis Requenco on the grid. We hope to speak to Louis over the course of the weekend. Louis doesn't speak all the English in the world, but happy to say that one of the FIA secretaries here, Carmen, that works with us, is Spanish and speaks very good English, better than me, in fact. So she will be potentially translating for us later on in the weekend, but we'll work with her to see whether we can get her away from her FIA duties. But there is this lovely Mercedes one of the best looking trucks on the grid, very well presented. It's been lovely to see Louis and his team back. I was having a chat with one of his engineers, Brandon, just this morning in the pit lane. It's been lovely to see him. There's Stefan Faas, another truck where you can not see any major wing mirrors on it, but he's actually got these little fins on the top that have cameras in. They're protected with little metal structures. But there is your reigning champion and championship leader, Norbert Kish. 10 minutes left on the clock, and he is on his first flying lap here at Slovakia, kicking up the dust as he goes through the right-hander. There's a number of big corners on this circuit that really demand a lot from the truck, and obviously the adjustments they need to make mid-corner. It was very, very interesting to go out with Bradley yesterday and just see how much speed they carry on the way into a number of these corners. It's so difficult to get right though, lap after lap in these machines. But right now it is Norbert Kish that is leading the pack around, and he will be the first one to put in a valid lap time. But you can see the size of this place and how many times the drivers go back on themselves. So many different corners, it's absolutely amazing. But there you can see the dust being kicked up as they head in towards the final part of the circuit, into what will be, I think, the 21st or 22nd corner on the track. Just reloading all of the track maps. I did have a track map of this one recently, so I'm just checking now that I have the right one. Some circuits and championships here, they use the outer part of the track, and it's very, very short. Some places use the whole circuit, and others just use the infield. First laps on the board then, and it is Norbert Kish fastest, 2:42.4, half a second clear of Jochen Hahn. Antonio Albacete third, ahead of Steffi Halm. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez goes up into fourth position. Steffi Halm now down to fifth. Sasha Lenz in sixth place. John Newell in seventh. The gaps will be slightly larger here than they were at other circuits. But no, in fact, actually, the corner count much lower than I thought. Apologies. It's just 14 corners, but it feels like so much more than that. I think some of the chicanes, the left-right sections, they don't all get counted as 2 corners here. The top 10 of all set times at the moment. Luke Garrett is currently in 11th place behind John Newell. Clemens Hecker not able to get a valid lap time on the board. Here's the first qualifying lap of the season for Louis Requenco in his new Mercedes, and he goes 7th fastest. Very respectable stuff, ahead of Sasha Lenz, ahead of Bradley Smith and Stefan Faas. It's going to be super interesting to see how the championship looks in chrome over the course of the weekend. And thank you to Richard Rogers, who has corrected my number count. Interestingly, here at the Slovakia ring, it's 7 corners to the right, 7 corners to the left as well, which makes it nice and even. It's one of many clockwise racing circuits around the world. There's not many that are counterclockwise, actually. I tried to recall any yesterday that were counterclockwise, and there's not many of them, to say the least. Interlagos in Brazil being the most famous of them. And it's taken me this time to get my championship standings up on screen, but hopefully I can bring you results as we go and as the day goes on. But a number of these drivers now will be slowing it down slightly, and they will make sure that they get the trucks back to more of a reasonable operating temperature. Some of them will go straight into the pit lane from there. They will be happy that they go through in the top 12. But with just 13 trucks here, it's going to be quite brutal to just see one of them get cut out of the pack and then the rest go through into the next session. But you can see 0.6 of a second difference between Bradley Smith and Stefan Faas. So that gap is really where Clemens Hecker would want to slot into, because there's only 0.2 of a second between Faas, Newell and Garrett at the moment. So there's not much room to play with there. He definitely wants to try and get ahead of Faas and behind Bradley Smith. It would be much easier We've got a lot of music being played in the garages behind us, which is very difficult. I'm commentating from one of the garages this weekend with the wonderful team here at Viga, who are the broadcasters for the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship. It seems like some of the teams here didn't get the memo, so apologies if you can hear any of that. Obviously, between races, you could go and watch our very own documentary on the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship, the One Truck family, with yours truly as narrator, and lots of wonderful scenic shots and great interviews with the drivers and the teams. But you can see now, this is quite the calm moment between the different parts of the session. But as mentioned, we are sharing the circuit this weekend with a number of other championships, I should say. We have the F4 CEZ Championship, and we also have an endurance series with TCR cars and GT4s as well. So a very mixed bag here this weekend. Racing trucks, small Formula open wheel cars, touring cars and GT cars. A number of drivers have stayed out on track to try and improve their lap times to make sure they stay in the top 12. I think Bradley Smith feels a little bit under threat at the moment. I think he stayed out by the look of it. We'll see. But it looks like Clemens Hecker is one of the only ones to currently stay on track and try and improve that time. 4.2 seconds off is not where he would want to be. But as mentioned, we have a lot of times to be set around a very long circuit. So what that will mean is that the times will be very, very spread out. So the gaps will look bigger. So what we had as maybe half a tenth of a second back at Misano, maybe half a second at Misano would be maybe a minute, not even a minute, sorry, a second. We're going to get an interview in just a moment, I believe. I think we're going to speak to Jochen Hahn. Louise is going to be on standby, ready to get in there as soon as Diana Hahn moves out of the way. But obviously, the debrief is more important at the moment for Jochen. There is Louise waiting and ready to go. Louise, how is it down there? It seems like it's quite busy from the shots I can see.
It is, it absolutely is. It is absolutely getting well into the qualifying. I'm just going to have a quick chat with Jochen Hahn here. Jochen, how are you feeling about this?
We are on the Slovakia ring. It's the first time practice. Weather conditions are muy bien. No, I think I'm ready. We are ready. So now we go into Q2.
Absolutely. How would you think it's going to compare to Misano last weekend?
No, it's a pleasure to win in Misano. You know, I love the circuit and I love the Italian mentality and the flair. And from this side, I'm very proud to win on Sunday. Yeah.
Absolutely, and it's the longest in the circuits, isn't it, this weekend? So, do you have to prepare anything for these longer races?
No, it's not really repaired. It's in the head. You know, you need a concentration, and it's Q2, so you must go under the first 6, and then we go into Q3, hopefully.
Jochen, best of luck and enjoy the hot weather as well. All right, Chaz, back to you.
Thank you very much, Louise. Great to hear from Jochen. Like I said, at Misano, he's always got an answer for something as Jochen. But yeah, he's clearly very happy about the results back in Misano. Across the line goes Clemens Hecker. Oh, he's had a bit of a moment there actually on this lap, so that may not be an improvement for him. In fact, just looking at his last lap time, it was a 2:47.8. Lap before that was 2:46.6. So yeah, he's not been able to improve there, and it'll be another 2.5 minutes or so before he next comes across the line. John Newell and this man, Luke Garrett, are still out there on track. I went to go and speak to Luke earlier on today. I did pick his brains about the number 2 on his windscreen, as it seems to be upside down. He said that's how it was, and he's wondering if the sticker man has let him down. Either way, Luke is happy to be here. He says that the truck is feeling much better. Just they had a bit of a struggle at Misano. It's a new truck for them again this year. Each season they've been building truck after truck after truck. Same with John Newell as well, who is now on your screen for the NWT Motorsport squad. Had quite a funny meeting with with John Newell back at Bologna Airport on Monday last week before we travelled home. John is a real character, and his lovely wife and the team were in good spirits. There's some good spirits on the inside line there for Clemens Hecker, currently running in 13th position. As it stands, he will be the only truck to be knocked out of this session, because we go to 12, so he will be set and confirmed as 13th on the grid. And the checkered flag is out. There is his moment again, kicking up the dust on the inside. You can see these lovely aerial shots, just showing you how big and wide this circuit is. But look at the size of the corners as well. And the mechanic there being eaten by the truck, it seems. You can see the 100% renewable HVO fifth wheel there from Total Energies as well. I love the little shark fin. A lot of people don't like the shark fin, apparently. I've got a lot of friends that watch and listen to the broadcasts, and they always ask me, why are you going on about this shark fin so much, Chaz? I think it's fantastic. The slight irony of such a small aerodynamic piece on such a massive racing machine like a truck will never be lost on me. But I think it's a lovely looking thing. It's a great way to have the branding displayed on all the trucks throughout our field. There are the lovely, lovely machines sat in the pit lane. You can see all of the fans in the grandstand there as well. Doors open to help dissipate any potential heat that they can. But it's Norbert Kish fastest. He set a 2:42.4. He was half a second clear of Jochen Hahn. Antonio Albacete was 1.1 seconds off him, another half a second down. Then the next few trucks only separated by about 1/10 of a second or so. Clemens Hecker crosses the line, and unfortunately he does not improve on his lap time. So it's a 2:47.8 for Clemens Hecker, and that will mean the end of his qualifying session here on Saturday at the Slovakia ring. Obviously we have 2 race days, so he's got another opportunity to qualify again tomorrow, but he will not be completely over the moon with that. They've had a bit of a struggle to start their season, and I'm happy to say we're going to go back to Louise, who has an interview with Steffi Halm in the pit lane.
We're going to have a quick chat with Steffi Halm. Steffi, how are you feeling?
Yeah, for the first moment it's okay. Now we are looking for the second part of the qualifying, and hopefully we can keep the tires to continue to Q3.
How is it going to compare to Mazzano last weekend, do you think?
The what?
How is it going to compare to Mazzano last weekend, do you think?
The competitors or what? Because I don't understand that good.
Yeah, with Mazzano, the weather last weekend was so hot, and it's hot this weekend. Do you think it's going to be a similar thing?
Yeah, for sure. Yesterday was not that hot. Today it's getting warmer and warmer, so everything we tested yesterday was with a lower temperature, so now it's a little bit more harder for the tires, and also to save them. So I think it's a tricky one for everybody to go through the qualifying and also through the races with the tires by that temperature.
Yeah, absolutely. Best of luck, Steffi. It's going to be a good one. Thank you so much. There we go, Steffi Halm. We're getting ready to get back into it, I believe. So, Chaz, right back to you.
Thank you, Louise. Thank you very much indeed. And yeah, it's not an enviable condition down there. It's so loud and hot in the pit lane. It's very difficult for anyone to hear anyone. So fair play, Louise is sticking it out in the pit lane down there. It is very, very warm. There may be a little bit of shade near the pit garages and stuff, but it's really difficult to hide from the sunshine here in Slovakia. There's no sort of bridges or buildings or anything on any of the infield sections of the circuit. It really is out in the middle of nowhere. It's a very interesting drive out here. A lot of long, straight roads through the countryside. It's very beautiful, actually. Normally, you'd expect a more hilly and sort of mountainous area to be very beautiful. But somewhere even as flat as this part of Slovakia, it's absolutely gorgeous place to be. I've really fallen in love with it. I've wanted to come here for years. I'm very grateful to finally have the opportunity to do so on a personal note. But it's absolutely brilliant to be here. It really is a cool circuit. Very unique circuit as well. As we've mentioned, it's the longest one on the calendar. And it's nearly 3 minutes a lap. Compare that to Misano last week, where it was around 2 minutes and maybe 1 or 2 seconds per lap. This time round, it is a much, much longer lap. You can see Louis Requenco is being told to go to the end of the pit lane. So now what they do is they will go to the end of the pit lane in the order that they just finished Q1. So they start in championship order for Q1. They obviously head out there. I thought we were missing a truck. René Reinert was not out there on track. Didn't see René Reinert at all. Not quite sure why that might be. So we'll try and catch up with him a little bit later and see why he's not there. But I did wonder. Love these shots though from the drones. I've received a picture from Davide Califano as well of Goodyear. Davide watching along from home at the moment. Davide, we hope you're enjoying the broadcast and enjoying the show. We miss you and we look forward to seeing you next time out at the Nürburgring. A long old time now between the next round of the championship and this weekend. I think it's roughly 5 or 6 weeks, because we have the mid-season round at the Nürburgring at the Truck Grand Prix. So it's 4 weeks until even the start of July. And yeah, we have 5 weeks until the Nürburgring. It's going to come around very quickly though, I'm sure. Barely a month. But then after that we have another long break. The siren is sounded and the light goes green. Qualifying will crack on and commence. After the Nürburgring, we have 7 weeks until we then go to Most in Czechia. There you can see, you can just get a great idea there with the stewards over on the left, or sorry, the officials over on the left. You can just see the size of these trucks. It always does blow you away whenever get a chance to go into the pit lane or anything. You can see just how massive this place is. But the trucks head back out on track once more in the order that they just finished Q1. Sascha Lenz won't be too pleased with the time that he set in that previous session. He ended up a little bit further down the order than I'm sure he was expecting. But he will try and try again to make sure that he makes it through. There's Mark Taylor, Steffi Halm, Louis Requenco. One thing I have noticed about that Mercedes is it's a very narrow and tall cab compared to the sort of more boxy Ivecos and Scanias that we see that are a lot lower in terms of their roofs. But the Mercedes does seem like a very tall machine. I'm not quite sure whether that's just the lack of wing mirrors that makes it look so straight and tall, but certainly is interesting. You can see the military museum in the background of that shot there, actually. There's a number of helicopters, missiles and all sorts on display there. It's right on the exit of the circuit as well. There's also a wildlife park around here as well, actually. So plenty to do in this part of the world, that's for sure. Even if it is 20 minutes from anywhere. Like I say, though, it's a lovely drive and a great place to be. And it's an absolute delight to be a part of this race weekend again on site here. Lovely drone shots there as they head around the long swinging right-hander down at turn 3 into that infield section. There is Norbert Kisch, current championship leader, comes here with a wonderful 46 points from a maximum of 60. It's the first time in a while that he hasn't actually clean swept Misano, but with the pace that he is able to carry at Slovakia Ring, we expect him to be able to do it this weekend. But we'll have to wait and see if anybody can stop him. He's certainly been fantastic here at Slovakia Ring. It's a big shame not to have had René Reinert out there on track. I was wondering why we suddenly had 13 trucks and not 14. But René was not out there. And I will try and find out a little bit later for you what the situation there was. It's Norbert Kisch, Jochen Hahn and Antonio Albacete at the moment, the top 3 as they head round. Then it's Rodriguez, Taylor and Steffi Halm. I didn't mention the Teams Championship very much at Misano. There's been a bit of a change to the Teams Championship. There's only 2 points in it at the moment. We have Revesh Reinert Racing, which is Norbert Kisch and René Reinert. We then have Die Bullen von Iveco, which is Jochen Hahn and Steffi Halm. Team Lowenpower, which is Sascha Lenz and John Newell. Burnau Smith Racing, Antonio Albacete and Bradley Smith. Bradley always mentioning how much Tim and Melanie of T-Sport Bernau have done for him and the team. It's lovely to see that reflected with them teaming up for a team's championship. Taylor and Rodriguez together, Mark Taylor and Jose Eduardo Rodriguez. Team H&K is Clement Ecker and Stefan Kirsch. Unfortunately, Stefan Kirsch not here for this weekend, but we look forward to seeing him back at the Nürburgring. And then Team FAS Requenco, which I think needs no explanation. On to some flying laps then. Norbert Kish heads around with just 6 minutes left on the clock. This is going to be one of the circuits where we only get one flying lap in Q3 because, well, it's nearly 3 minutes a lap anyway at full pace. But even when they're on a slow outlap, it's still going to be 4.5 minutes to complete. And the session is only 5 minutes long, so they will have to really crack on and get the job done. There is Antonio Albacete now heading round turn 2 in towards turn 3. There is Jochen Hahn, second place in the championship at the moment. I've got a fantastic view here this weekend, I have to tell you. I've got the laptop on, I've got screens and all sorts. I've got lots going on around me, which is lovely to have. All the more information as a commentator. At the end of the day, it's something I've always wanted to be a motorsport commentator, so when you can get here and get all the information handed to you, well, what more could you want? Hope you're all enjoying the show so far. It's been a bit of a relatively slower start to the weekend, but here at Slovakia Ring, it is such a long lap that these sessions do take a bit more time to complete. When you have to think about outlaps and in-laps and all sorts, they do often not drag, but there's less goes on in these sessions within the same time frame. But that's one of the challenges of this circuit. It's not just a challenge for the drivers and the teams, but it's a challenge for everybody involved to make sure that things continue to run smoothly. Now, overspeeding for John Newell, that's just been communicated to all the drivers and teams by the officials. So John Newell will have his lap time deleted. This corner in particular, as they come out of turn 10, 11 and 12, is amazing. The weight transfer from the right-hander there to that left-hander is outstanding. When Bradley took Louise and I around in the truck yesterday, we both agreed that the change of direction for a 5-ton racing machine is absolutely incredible. Bradley himself even loves it as well. You know, he had such a smile on his face when we were reacting to the ride of our lives around there. There's Antonio Albacete heading around the final corner now. Turn 13, almost 270 degrees. Turn 13, through the left-hand kink at 14, and then across the line they go. And this is qualifying 2, getting lap times on the board. Norbert Kiss, Jochen Hahn, Antonio Albacete, Jose Eduardo Rodriguez. That is the timing line there that they cross at the very start of the start-finish straight. Mark Taylor, 1.5 seconds down. Steffi Halm, 1.7 seconds down. So no perfect times from any of those guys just yet. Louis Requenco 1.8 seconds down in 8th position now. Sasha Lenz moves up to 5th place. Bradley Smith goes 7th. We've still got John Newell and Luke Garrett to cross the line. I think John has backed out on his current lap because he knows that his initial time will get deleted. Steffi Halm is coming steaming round to turn 2, and oh dearie me, she will not be too happy with Jochen Hahn there, because Jochen was right on the racing line as Steffi came flying round. And, well, he wanted to obviously not get in the way, but he ended up doing so. To his teammate as well. Luke Garrett is 11th at the moment, 19.6 seconds down. He backed out of his qualifying lap, maybe due to a mistake. But he is now on a fast lap with John Newell behind him. They're just going through turns 1 and 2. And we'll wait and see now how they can do to improve. John Newell's lap time does come up with 36 seconds down. So those guys are now going to try and improve as best they can. You can just see how hot it is here. It's just incredibly warm. It's strange because it doesn't feel as hot as it did at Misano. It was a lot more humid in Misano, so it was a lot more sticky. But here it's a very dry heat in Slovakia. It's lovely though, I don't want to complain at the end of the day. I am British. I do live in the UK. It normally rains. We make the joke a lot, but it's very true. But here in Slovakia Ring, it is very toasty here today. The tyres will take a beating as well, as you saw earlier about the tyre lottery with Franz Stylberg and Louise mentioning that. Drivers and teams get allocated their tyres in, well, quite the lottery, as is literally explained. There's a shot of Luke Garrett making his way out of the hairpin down at turn 8. It's incredible to think that with how far around the lap you are, that's only the 8th corner on the circuit. But there's the top 6 on your left-hand side that are going through. At the moment, it's Norbert Kiss, Jochen Hahn, Antonio Albacete, Jose Eduardo Rodriguez, Sasha Lenz. There's the marshals and officials having a very good time. Everybody here, all the marshals, seem to be in such good spirits. It's great to see. There's a bit of a lock-up on the inside there for Luke as he goes through turn 10. Mark Taylor is also going through, the only Chrome driver at the moment on his way through into Q3. Everybody wants to stay over on the right here as Luke Garrett tries to go through on the right-hand side. Luke now powering through on the left. There is Tim Frost of T-Sport Bernau watching on, waiting. He knows that Antonio is on his way back into the pit lane after setting a good time. Had a good laugh and a good catch-up this morning with Tim. Always a pleasure to see him and the team. Around the final corner has come Luke Garrett, and he's about to cross the line any moment now. Checker flag is out, so that's going to be his final lap. And Luke Garrett does improve, but he's just 4 seconds off at the moment, so he's going to stay in 11th position at best. There's John Newell crossing the line. What can John do? He goes up to 11th and is 2.3 seconds down, but it's a 2:44.9. Norbert Kish remains fastest. Jochen Hahn next up, Antonio Albacete in 3rd, and Jose Eduardo Rodriguez 4th. Literally, as you see them coming into the pit lane, was the order that they finished in qualifying session 2. And now they take just a few minutes. The team will try and cool things down in the cab for them. They'll make sure that all of the tyres, pressures are all good, temperatures are all spot on. Maybe even let some water out as well, because the trucks very often carry a lot of water for the brakes, and sometimes you can save a little bit of weight by taking some water out, but you don't want to risk things. But Antonio doing a good job there, 3rd position. His qualifying pace has been much better this season, and I'm sure that Louise is on standby there to speak to him about said qualifying pace, and certainly giving him a lot more confidence, it seems. Louise.
All right, we've got Antonio Albacete here with me. Antonio, how are you feeling after that?
Oh, well, I mean, Kiss and Jochen, they are in another planet, but then the rest is very close, so it's quite difficult. It's not a good grip, you know, I don't feel a good grip, so it's very easy to make a mistake. So I think I have to, I mean, now we have just 1 lap, you know, so I think it's going to be throwing the coin, and let's hope that the lap is good.
Cross, and it is a very long circuit, isn't it? So does that have to come into play quite a lot with what you're thinking?
Yeah, it's a long circuit, and then the thing is that we don't have another opportunity, it's just 1 lap. So you have to be concentrate.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, best of luck, because 1 more to go. You can do this. You've got it. Thank you so much, Antonio. There we go. It's really kicking in now, guys. And the noise in this pit lane is absolutely shattering as well, which is very exciting. We know just how fast they're going. But Chaz, I'm going to throw back to you.
Thank you very much, Louise. Always good to hear from Antonio. As he described there, it's very difficult at the moment to get these laps together, but as explained, just 1 lap they'll be able to have in Q3. There was the issue for Bradley Smith that we just saw on screen. Bradley ending up off the circuit and in the gravel. He actually managed to get it back on track by the look of it, because he's still circulating, so very well done, Bradley. Usually when these things go in the gravel, they end up very beached, and that is session done. But no, they've done very, very well. He's just going to not trundle his way back to the pit lane, but he's just going to take it nice and easy on his way back in, just to make sure if there's any damage or anything that's potentially harmful to the truck, that he doesn't drag it with him or overdo it. But now we wait and we will have the top 6. So it's Bradley Smith, Steffi Halm, Louis Requenco, Stefan Fast, John Newell and Luke Garrett who will go out. And there is the moment for Bradley. Locks up the fronts to try and get it stopped. In fact, actually, he's done really well to get that out. Look at how much the truck sinks down into the gravel trap there. And with these almost slick tyres on, I'm amazed that he managed to get that back out of the gravel trap. Because I wondered if he'd maybe not quite dipped the rear wheels onto the gravel, sorry. But he managed to sort it out. So I think it'll be another couple of minutes. You can see the local time there on the gantry. Usually they are to the second getting trucks back out on track, but we still have a few of them circulating. Steffi Halm's just on her way in. We have Louis Requenco and Stefan Fass coming in slowly as well. So a few of them won't be ready just yet to head out into the final part of the session. But now we'll see a couple of the trucks making their way further down the pit lane. I can hear one of them right outside the garage where I am situated. I think it's in that one actually, where Jose Eduardo Rodriguez is. He's just heading down now towards the end of the pit lane. They'll line up in the order that they just completed qualifying 2. And there is Stefan Fass and Louis Requenco, both with new trucks for this season, new colour schemes. Stefan last season had much more silvery colour scheme on his truck. This year with just the black and red branding of Tankpool 24. They've always got such great branding. There was a lot of fans in the paddock swarming around their awning this morning. They certainly are a popular squad, to say the least. A number of the trucks will head back into the paddock from the end of the pit lane because they no longer have a part in this session. But there is our 6, Norbert Kish at the front. It's Jochen Hahn, Antonio Albacetti, Jose Eduardo Rodriguez, Sasha Lenz and Mark Taylor, hoping for a much better weekend. Some good friends of Mark and the team, Marine and Isis, have wished me good luck and wished Mark good luck for the weekend as well. It's always lovely to hear from them. Apparently the weather is much worse right now in Belgium than it is here in Slovakia. But Mark is hoping for a much more straightforward race weekend. So the pit lane will open at 1:49 local time. Another benefit of me changing commentary position for the weekend means that I get an additional timing screen to look at, which is always joyous. And I can tell you that that is in about 1 minute and 3/4 time. And I get all of the messages through as well. There is Mark Taylor's number 81 truck. Like I say, he had a bit of a difficult start to his campaign, finishing 12th, 10th, 15th and 9th. Not the sort of pace we're used to seeing out of Mark. He got a 6th and 2 podiums in Chrome, but then an 8th place finish as well. So it was all a little bit all over the place for Mark. He's going to be hoping for some wins here this weekend, especially in the Chrome class, wanting to open up whatever potential advantage he can in the opening stages of the season. But you can just see right now how hot it is out there on the circuit, and it's only going to get hotter here this afternoon. We're getting to nearly 2 o'clock in the afternoon now. The second race of the day will be much later on, so it's going to be interesting to see how low the sun is at that point. It's quite nice that we get these sort of evening races here in Slovakia. But right now, we just wait for a couple of moments. This is the calm before the storm of Q3. The top 6 will be ready to go. Just 15 seconds now, and they will be let out of the end of the pit lane. There is Norbert Kish, red truck, watching the red lights. They will go green any moment now. In 3, 2, 1, and green light, and off we go. If I'd have got that wrong, I'd have made an absolute fool out of myself, but now I feel like £1,000,000. Jochen Hahn follows him out then onto the circuit with Antonio Albacetti, Jose Eduardo Rodriguez, Sasha Lenz, and then Mark Taylor. Lovely shot there from Leon, who is on the what we call our RF2 camera. as they head out of the pit lane. Lovely shot from Mark as well on the RF1 camera, catching the red lights changing. But now it's just 6 trucks out on track. However, it's a long old circuit and they need to hurry up on these out laps because it's nearly 3 minutes a lap anyway, and they have to cross the line before the 5 minutes is up, so they can be counting every lap that they do. They will only get one chance here. Like Antonio said earlier, just the one lap to be able to complete. Norbert Kish has looked on great form so far. It's an important weekend for Norby as well. Unfortunately, there is no Hungarian round of the championship this year at the Hungaroring. So this is effectively like Norby's home race. There are the medical crews on standby ready to go. They're just at the end of the pit lane. Enjoying the shade, I imagine, because it's very, very hot. But we have trucks on track for the final time in this qualifying session. And you can just see the bits of dust and the marbles being kicked up at the side of the circuit here. There's lots of rubber around the outside because we have the different racing series sharing the track with us this weekend. Like I say, the Formula 4s, the touring cars and GT cars. There's a lot of marbles being kicked up. Marbles are the small round pieces of rubber that get torn off the edges of the tyre and thrown off the racing line and on the edges of the circuit. They're only known as such basically because they do look like small little marbles everywhere. There are the flags being waved. As you can see, a lot of support here for Norby, and the Hungarian fans come out in force. Not too far for them to head over the border and come into the Slovakia ring. So we always get a massive, massive amount of support for Norby and the team. Now, I imagine it's very important for him and the squad. I know that he'll be very pleased to have them here. I'm sure at one point we'll be talking to him. How cool is that? These drone shots are absolutely awesome. It looks like something out of a video game, doesn't it? As they look down. That's turn 10, so there's a hairpin in a very heavy braking zone. They then go around a long right-hander, almost 180 degrees at turn 11, but they come away from the apex and then through a little flick left at turn 12. But now they wind it up slightly and they head down towards the final corner, turn 13. Not technically the final corner, actually, at turn 13. Turn 14 is, but either way. Had another friend cheering Mark on as well. Nick Wright has sent his best wishes to Mark and the team. Hope you're enjoying the show, Nick. I'm not going to turn this into a like a shout-out show, of course. It's not BBC Radio 2. But it's lovely to see everybody giving the support, everyone messaging in. And we are enjoying a hell of a weekend already here in Slovakia Ring, and it is only the first session. Norbert Kish then heading into the first corner. Nice late braking zone there, really long, smooth right-hander. Always feels like you're turning in way too late there in turn 1, but you have to clip the apex quite late and then make sure that you've got the power down to go up over the crest of the hill, as you can see, kicking up a little bit of the dust over one of the artificial hills that they have here at the Slovakia Ring, just to make things a little bit interesting. It's quite an intriguing track to drive around though, because it is so huge. You almost wonder that if it was scaled down slightly, it would be a little bit more sort of fast-paced. You know, you're always at high speed, but you would be literally going from corner to corner constantly if it was all scaled down. Almost be like going to Ricardo Tormo in Spain, in Valencia, the way that it cuts back on itself multiple times. And there we look at Jose Eduardo Rodriguez. I'm going to try and have a look at the Sector 1 times. Jochen Hahn is fastest in Sector 1, half a tenth of a second quicker than Norbert Kish. 3 other drivers, Albacete, Rodriguez and Lenz, almost setting identical times. In fact, actually Mark Taylor as well. The other 4 drivers, all in the 52.4s. Almost absolutely identical. It's crazy to think that just one sector is nearly a minute here at Slovakia. Checkered flag is out now as the session hits 0. And we wait to see when the next sectors are ticked. So sector 2 is just after turn 11, so they've got a long way to get there yet. This is turn 9 that they're just coming out of, into turn 10, into the hairpin. And then on the power they go. And now we'll see the sector 2 times getting ticked through. Norbert Kish, 1 minute 17.1. He's 2 tenths up on Jochen Hahn. He's 9 tenths up on Albacete, 6 tenths up on Jose Eduardo Rodriguez. Sasha Lenz has gone quicker than Jose Eduardo through there, and it's almost identical between Albacete and Taylor. It looks like at the moment Antonio has lost a bit of time in that middle sector. And with just a couple of corners left to go, we'll see exactly what they've got in the tank. Will Norbert Kish make it another pole position? It's looking good. It's a 2:42.9 for Norbert Kish, a 2:43.0 for Jochen Hahn. Just 2 tenths of a second between the pair of them. Third place has gone Jose Eduardo Rodriguez ahead of Albacete. So too does Sasha Lenz. He goes third on the grid. Mark Taylor goes in 5th place. And Antonio did say he was struggling a little bit earlier on, and that shows it, down in 6th position after qualifying. Maybe I cursed him by saying that his qualifying pace had been better. I might have to hide from Tim Frost between sessions. But Norbert Kish will take another pole position here at the Slovakia ring. Jochen Hahn will join him on the front row. Sasha Lenz will be over the moon with 3rd position. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez starting on the 2nd row of the grid. Much better than he managed in Misano. And Mark Taylor, fastest in the Chrome class, which is important to note. And he will be really chuffed with that as well. It'd be good to catch up with Mark after such a good performance. But Antonio Albacete will be one of the talking points there as well, with 6th position being all he could manage in that time. But Norbert Kish does it again with another pole position, and he will be, I'm sure, absolutely over the moon with that one. He now makes his way back in on one of the longest cool-down laps you will ever see. But it was a great performance by Norby, eventually just going 1 tenth, nearly 2 tenths of a second quicker than Jochen. Jochen is always the one to try and take the fight to Norby in these qualifying sessions, but it's safe to say that he's been really on him in the first couple of rounds this season. Antonio Albacete, though, will be a bit gutted with that. Here are the results of qualifying then. Norbert Kish takes pole position. Jochen Hahn 2nd. Sasha Lenz in 3rd place. He'll be really pleased. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez 2. Mark Taylor, fastest in Chrome, but just 2 trucks back. You will see Bradley Smith behind Antonio Albacete. Steffi Halm maybe not too chuffed with 8th position. Louis Requenco in 9th, and Stefan Faas completing the top 10. He always goes well round here when the truck is behaving itself. John Newell was 11th in that one, just 2 seconds off in what looked like tricky conditions. Luke Garrett will start from 12th. Clemens Hecker will join René Reinert on the back row of the grid. Interesting to see why René is not there. I'll have to go and see him between sessions and find out for you. And I'll get all the answers where possible. But Norbert Kish making his way back in just now. And I'm told that we have got an interview ready, and it's going to be John Newell who we're going to speak to with Louise, and John clearly having a few troubles in that session.
All right, I've got John Newell with me, and John, we were just chatting there just before the cameras were rolling. It wasn't your favourite this time, was it?
No, definitely not. We're struggling for some reason this weekend. We usually do all right here, and we're just a lot slower than what we were last year for some reason. We just need to get a grip of it and get back moving forward again.
And I think that's it. I mean, the weekend is still afoot as well, so you've still got the race one to go for. So. Oh
yeah, we can always make plenty of moves in race, so we're not too worried. We just keep moving forward, and we'll be all right.
Absolutely. But we were talking about if the weather as a factor, but it is probably less hot than it was last year, right?
Yeah, that's correct. The weather's always warm here. It's high on tyre wear, but you've just got to put up with it. Same for everybody, and that's how it is.
Well, I mean, at least you've got a little bit of shade. You can take a few before the next race, so it should be okay for you, shouldn't it?
Definitely. Thank you very much.
There we go. Thank you very much, John. Appreciate that. There we go. There we go. So you never know how the race weekend's going to go sometimes, do you? It's one of those where it can all change. And John was saying, last year it was a little bit quicker, and this time round it just didn't click. But hey, the weekend is afoot, so there's lots more to come. So it should be absolutely fine when we get going. I'm going to throw back to Chaz now, and we are going to have a chat, of course, with the pole setter shortly.
Thank you very much, Louise. Great to hear from John Newell there. And yeah, he always says it how it is, does John, and that's one of the things we love about him most. But he'll admit when they're struggling and when they're not quite on it. And I've already been told I don't need to go and see René Reinert, which is lovely. Thank you very much to our technical delegate Franz Steilberg, who has been a star so far. I'll tell you in a moment. Here are the highlight pictures of qualifying. Straight off the bat, it was red hot out there, and it was great to see Louis Requenco in his new Mercedes taking to the circuit for the first time. But with just 13 trucks on track and no René Reinert, it was always going to be interesting to see who didn't make it through into Q2. Norby and Jochen setting blistering times in the opening section, and then of course staying ahead of the likes of Albacete, Sasha Lenz, Steffi Howell, Mark Taylor, Bradley Smith. But then some of the Chrome drivers, Luke Garrett and John Newell, who were in shot just there, they struggled in Q2 to get any times on the board and really get a representative time out of their respective trucks. A moment there for Clemens Hecker through the gravel as he pushed to improve on his time in Q1. Unfortunately, he would be the first truck to be eliminated from this format. But as you can see, a big crowd and fantastic conditions here this weekend at the Slovakia Ring always makes it a joy to be here. It's a delight to be on site for the first time, but the dust is flying. Hopefully no issue like we had a few years ago, where by the end of the race it was just a complete dust cloud absolutely everywhere. But there was some interesting little pushes near the end of the session. A spin for Bradley Smith, and he would eventually make his way back out to complete Q2 in 7th position. But it was super interesting to see whether Q3 would put the pressure on, and it certainly did. Antonio Albacete, unfortunately, unable to make it through into the top 5. He ended up 6th in the very end. But it's Norbert Kisch on pole position once again, and I can very quickly tell you that it was the René Reinert gearbox that kept them out of it.